and welcome along to the Weather Channel. I'm Philip Avery. Things are looking a wee bit unsettled at the moment, particularly across many western parts of the UK. We've got quite an active frontal system bringing a fair number of heavy bursts of rain. Indeed, there could be the odd rumble of thunder as well, and that rain gradually working its way up across the country through the course of Wednesday. So let's take a look at the latest satellite sequence, and you can see that earlier on in the evening and through the first part of the night, so things were looking very disturbed indeed down away towards the West Country. And as I run the sequence, you can see that veil of cloud thickening all the time across many parts of the UK, and then some very heavy bursts of rain indeed showing up there down across the West Country. But it's not going to stay there for very long because it's already spread up across much of the Irish Sea, across Ireland into the western side of Scotland, for example. And as the day progresses, so I think you'll find that rain slowly but surely working its way right up across the country. Here's the way the isobar chart look, and as you can see for the middle of the day, we're expecting to see low pressure dominating the scene here, with frontal activity certainly at this stage confined down towards the southern and western parts. But as I've already said, that system gradually working its way up across the country during the course of the day, and then I'm afraid it's going to be wet weather, or at least a spell of it, for most places. So let's take a look at the detail for the morning. You can see there it is going to be an awfully wet start to the day across many central and western and eastern parts of the country here, down towards the south of the country. Quite a sticky start to the day, you'll notice as well. There could even be a fair amount of mist and fog around as well. So if you are travelling through the early hours of Wednesday, then do take care, because there is going to be that road hazard around. You also notice that we're indicating a fair number of bursts of heavy rain, again with the odd rumble of thunder thrown in. But to the morning starting off, and once you've burnt away that mist and fog down in southern parts of England and Wales, so the shower clouds will start bubbling up, so there's no respite there. And then you'll see those temperatures climbing away as the sun comes out in between the showers. 20, a rather sticky 68 degrees Fahrenheit. But the further away you go towards the north, well, not so much in the way of sunshine there, I'm afraid. In fact, more in the way of continuous rainfall, I would have thought, across many parts of Northern Ireland, the northern parts of England, and into the southern parts of the borders of Scotland as well. Into the afternoon, the more organised band of rain there, just beginning to move slowly but surely away from the Scottish borders in towards the central belt, in between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Further towards the south, a mixture of sunshine and showers for the most part. And there is just a suggestion that you might find more in the way of organised rainfall, indeed some of it heavy, again with the odd rumble of thunder thrown in through eastern parts of Kent and East Anglia as well as the afternoon progresses. Temperatures, well, nothing to write home about really, particularly across the north of Scotland, you'll notice. 13 with those onshore breezes there coming into the eastern side of Scotland. Quite a different story, though, down towards central and southeastern parts of England particularly. Temperatures there into the low 70s, into the mid-70s, in fact, in one or two of the more warmer spots, and just that wee bit fresher away towards the Welsh coast and down towards the West Country. As we move on through towards the evening, not a great deal of change. Still this slow movement on the organised band of rainfall there across the northern parts of Scotland by this stage. Elsewhere across the country, then you really are looking at a right old mishmash of cloud and showers, some of them heavy and prolonged at times, quite slow moving you'll find. So if you do pick up one of the heavier ones here on the eastern side of the Midlands and down towards East Anglia, it could be with you for some time, and there could still be the odd rumble of thunder. As you can see there, the temperatures even by this stage still fairly sticky down in the south, around 17 or 18, always that wee bit cooler and fresher, with murky conditions up on the eastern side of Scotland. That's the way it looks at the moment. Here's Caroline coming up with the latest on traffic and travel.
Thanks very much indeed, Phil. Good morning to you if you've just tuned in. Well, let's take a look at the latest traffic and travel details for you. And thankfully, the roads are relatively quiet so far this morning, but expect the usual congestion on the motorways later on as people head out and about for work. Now, there are a couple of things to tell you about if you're travelling around the capital. First of all, some dreaded roadworks to watch out for in Trafalgar Square. That's between the Strand and Northumberland Avenue. Expect the usual congestion, particularly through the rush hour at the moment. No serious problems to report, thankfully. And also, if you're travelling around London, on the Piccadilly line, the tubes, they're not running, or indeed they're not stopping at the moment at Holborn. That's because of broken down escalators. Now, let's take a look at some long-term roadworks around the British Isles. First of all, to Warrington, the Winwick Link Road down to single lane, I'm afraid, between junction 22 of the M6 and the A49. Expect delays. To Aberdeen now, Anderson Drive is also down to one lane for roadworks until the 7th of August. Next we head to Merseyside. The A569 at Stanley Road at Bootle is closed northbound until further notice. And of course, at the moment, we've also got the Mersey River Festival. That's on until the middle of June. Finally, let's go to Durham. The A689 at Wolverston is down to one lane each way until the middle of August. Now, if you're heading onto the continent, Philip will have the latest details, certainly if you're heading over there for business, coming up in just a minute. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, as far as traffic and travel is concerned, no serious problems to report. Certainly from the major airports, everything seemed to be going smoothly. And indeed, if you're heading onto the continent via the ferry services, no problems there. So let's take a look at some long-term roadworks for you. First of all, to Belgium, the R31 Ostend Ring Road, there are restrictions in force. That's until the middle of June. To Austria now, the A1 at Salzburg, there are restrictions in force. I'm afraid these are until the 30th of November. And two quick ones. Fourvière Tunnel in France, Lyon closed northbound, Monday to Friday overnight. And finally, to Switzerland, the N1, there are restrictions between Coppet and Bergeron until October. Now let's take a look at the latest weather with Philip.
Caroline, thank you very much indeed. Things are indeed looking really quite hot and steamy across central and eastern parts of Europe just at the moment. But the further west you go, then the more unsettled it becomes. But by Thursday, some of that unsettled weather will in fact be getting into the central regions as well. More on that in just a moment. But first of all, I'll show you what I mean. And as you can see from the latest satellite sequence, we've got relatively clear skies right down through the heart of Europe at the moment. Indeed, up in Scandinavia and Lapland, no less, they've had temperatures pushing well on into the 30s, and that's almost getting towards record proportions. And really quite hot conditions as well down in the western side of the Mediterranean, getting up to over 100 on the northern shores of Africa. And as I run that sequence, you can see the clear skies remaining there. A number of thunderstorms develop over towards the Black Sea during the course of the day. But you'll also notice here we've got some very disturbed looking weather across the western parts of France, particularly down across the Pyrenees and in towards Iberia. Now, the situation for the morning shows that there's not a great deal of change, I would have thought. The best of the sunshine and some of the best of the temperatures down through this eastern side of Europe here. Glorious start to the day through Denmark, for example, if you're heading that way, and indeed to much of southern Scandinavia as well. And into the eastern side of Europe through Prague, Warsaw, down towards Vienna. No problems here. It's just going to be warm, so it's going to be a lightweight business suit. And no problems with rainfall either. That really is going to be a problem confined away here towards the west. As soon as you start getting in towards the southwestern parts of Germany, and then right through the heart of France, perhaps even the southern side of the Low Countries too, and of course down into Iberia, things looking really quite unsettled and really quite sticky as well. You'll notice the temperatures pushing on to around no less than 24 or 25. Into the afternoon, and I think we're just seeing here the temperatures climbing just that wee bit further, and that more disturbed weather beginning by this stage to get into much of the Low Countries, into the western side of Germany, still staying hot and sunny, you'll notice there, into the northeastern corner of Europe, right up into Scandinavia, and indeed into the northern parts here of Milan and Turin in the northern side of Italy as well. Take a look at the situation into Thursday, and you'll find that disturbed weather, they're just beginning to creep across Europe. Some of the heaviest of the showers still to be found on the western side, it has to be said. But by this stage, if you're heading towards Berlin or over towards Vienna, then you've really got to be thinking about taking some sort of waterproof gear. But it is going to stay essentially quite hot and sticky. That's the way it's looking. There are some of the cities for Thursday. I'll leave you with that summary. Do stay with us here on the Weather Channel. 5-Day Planners next.
If you have one of these, or one of these, or even one of these, then you own the engine to the most powerful, most useful tool ever invented. Introducing the Roto 7 Power Disc, a disc so strong it can cut through this hardened steel file. It can even power through this brick. Roto 7 zips through copper pipe in no time and even cuts through masonry with ease. The tempered carbide disc cuts right through this iron chain and shears off any nail in its path. Roto 7 not only breezes through ceramic tiles, but even makes rounded corners quickly and easily. And look, put the power disc on your circular saw and you can cut smoothly through Formica. It always leaves a clean, smooth edge. Yet cutting is just the beginning. Your Roto 7 will sharpen your hand tools, sharpen your garden tools, and even sharpen your lawnmower blade. We'll also include this Roto 7 sanding disc. You won't find a better sander anywhere. And look how easily it strips away old paint. Roto 7's open mesh construction keeps it running smoothly, cleanly, clog-free. You get both power discs plus the sanding disc. So order your Roto 7 power discs now.
Now available around the world from Interwood.
Here's how to order. Call 0990 601164 or make your cheque payable to Roto 7 and send it to Roto 7 at Mail 54 Plymouth PL1 2YD. If lines are busy, call later, but do call.
Diddle-it. Looking for cheaper car insurance? Try Admiral on 0800 600 800. I know what you're thinking. Another Admiral advert. So you can save pounds on your car insurance. It's not exactly Shakespeare, but I do know Admiral have saved people a lot of money. If you want cheaper car insurance, try Admiral on 0800 600 800. That's 0800 600 800.
Hello again, it's time we had a look at the longer term prospects for the whole of the UK, and this is going to take us right through until Monday of next week. And as you can see, it's going to be a real old mishmash of sunshine and showers for most regions, but at least you'll know it's June. It's going to be really quite warm in one or two places, and then gradually getting that wee bit cooler, particularly across the north of the country. So let's start the process by looking at Thursday, and the low pressure that's dominated the scene right through Tuesday and much of Wednesday by this stage is still going to be right there on station through Thursday as well. Frontal activity as well dominating the scene across Scotland and Northern Ireland as well. Elsewhere, we're really looking at a number of showers. Some of those, though, shouldn't be dismissed. They are going to be quite heavy, and there could even still be the odd rumble of thunder, particularly later on in the day, where the heat really does build up. And you can see there, temperatures probably not just as high as they have been over the last couple of days, but certainly pushing on very nicely to the low 70s Fahrenheit, particularly for much of England and Wales. And even in Scotland, you notice that it's getting up to around about 18 or 19 in the central belt, just that wee bit cooler away towards the far north, where you're picking up those easterly or northeasterly breezes. Now, by Friday, there really isn't a great deal of movement at this stage. You can see that we're still plagued with this frontal system through the border regions and stretching on towards the eastern side of Ireland. Low pressure dominating, so not a great surprise to see. We're still keeping this showery theme going. You'll also notice that the temperatures benefiting down in the south from these west or southwesterly breezes. So there again, 21 to 22 as a top. But coming in from the northeast up towards the north, so 15 or 16 as your likely maximum there, and still a fair number of showers right across the country. Now, by Saturday, we are just beginning to see the first signs of some movement here. The low system drifting away in towards the near continent. Still the tail end of the frontal system there, tending to pep up the showers through the English Midlands and away towards the northeast of England as well. But the high pressure just beginning to build in from the west. So there you can see it again, essentially a pretty showery picture. Although with these southwesterly winds, if you can get away towards the eastern side of the Midlands, perhaps East Anglia and the southeast of England, so not too much in the way of shower activity there. Still the cloud at its thickest across the north of Scotland, down towards Northern Ireland as well. I'm afraid that's where you're going to see the showers tending to merge together to give more prolonged periods of rain. Now through towards Sunday and Monday, so we pick up this northerly run of winds here, so tending to keep the shower activity on the more exposed coastal regions, and certainly by Monday, down towards the southwest, that little system there, pepping up the showers again. Elsewhere, fairly bright and sunny, but cool.
The sun is coming out and the days are longer, so now is the time to be outdoors. A game of golf, a sporting event, tennis or just boating in the park. Be a part of it, but don't let the weather spoil it. Be prepared. Watch the Weather Channel.
Hello, good morning to you, and a very warm welcome to the Weather Channel. If you've just tuned in, I'm Caroline Thompson. Well, coming up in just a minute, Philip will be here with the latest weather update for you, but something to bear in mind, particularly down through the West Country if you're heading out in the early hours, and indeed first thing this morning. We've had some very heavy rain, particularly through parts of Devon and Cornwall, potentially some localised flooding and a lot of surplus water around, so do take it easy if you're heading out and about. Now, if you're travelling around the capital, just a reminder, you've got these roadworks around Trafalgar Square at the moment, and that's between the Strand and Northumberland Avenue, bound to cause fun and games there. And similarly, if you're travelling around the capital by tube, just a reminder for you on the Piccadilly line, they're not stopping at Holborn at the moment. That's until the end of the month because they've got broken down escalators. Nothing to report, certainly, as far as the ferries are concerned if you're heading onto the continent. Now a look at the weather next with Philip.
It really should come as no surprise to you with the chart behind me indicating the way we expect things to look in the middle part of Wednesday, to know that it's going to be a very unsettled day across many regions, with the showers tending to merge along those trough lines and indeed on the fronts to give some heavy and prolonged periods of rain, with the odd rumble of thunder thrown in as well. This is the way that Wednesday is starting off, and as you can see, some very heavy bursts of rain here dominating the scene across the country, particularly away towards the western side. But don't feel safe by any means if you're across on the east. There will be some very heavy bursts of rain moving through most areas as the morning pans out, and you will find the odd rumble of thunder thrown in as well. You'll notice with the onshore breezes that we are going to see some fairly cool temperatures across Scotland, pretty sticky down in the south, and into the afternoon it only gets worse, I'm afraid. Looking at 25, that's 77 down in the south, always that wee bit fresher in the north, but I'm afraid it's going to be a wet old day through Scotland and Ireland.
Doctors are calling out for a new type of weather warning. It's basically to alert asthma sufferers to impending very heavy thunderstorms, because it has been suggested that the risk of attack could be a little higher in those very heavy thunderstorms. Now, here on the Weather Channel, we're a great believer in bringing to your attention forthcoming weather conditions and how it could affect your health. Now, down towards the south and the east today, we are going to be seeing some very heavy thunderstorms indeed, so it's worth taking some extra precautions. On top of all that, pollen counts are going to be moderate down towards the south and the west. That couldn't help things at all as well. And up towards Scotland, it should be quite low, with that rain dampening down that pollen count quite nicely. Now, air quality is going to be predominantly good across the whole of the country, but if you are an asthma sufferer, again, do watch out for those thunderstorms down towards the south and the east. You could burn in around 30 minutes down towards the south as well, more like an hour in all that cloud and rain up towards the north.
Feet up. This is the roof of Europe. After being shown what the Alps have to offer, it's my turn.
We all know how seriously the French take their food, but you can't go wrong with Uncle Ben's new gratin sauces. Just slice some potatoes, pour on the sauce and pop it in the oven. Voila, delicious potato gratin.
Come and get it!
Uncle Ben's gratin sauces, perfect every time.
This will knock them out.
again, and a very good morning to you. If you've just tuned in, I'm Caroline Thompson. Well, just a quick reminder for you, in a couple of minutes' time, I'll be taking a look at the world weather, and just to give you a taster and to give you an idea of just how hot, in fact, it's positively roasting around the Red Sea it has been. On Monday night, overnight temperatures in Tel Aviv and Israel reached no lower than 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and it looks like very hot conditions during the day. And indeed, the Mediterranean hasn't been getting away scot-free either. Indeed, it's the hot and humid conditions have been responsible for scattered thunderstorms, indeed, through western parts of France, particularly through Iberia, and also out towards the east as well. Elsewhere, fine, settled conditions. And you can see that on the latest satellite as relatively clear skies, high pressure to thank for that for much of central southern Italy, across into Sardinia and Corsica. Out towards the east, we have got this rash of showers and also a cluster of thunderstorms we've been watching over the last day or two, in fact, extending up towards us in the British Isles, and also pushing into southwestern parts of France, and indeed out towards the Balearic Islands, down towards the Mediterranean. And the reason for this unsettled weather at the moment is this active area of low pressure. I think a much fresher feel today, certainly for Wednesday, is this cold front starts to dominate, pushing much fresher weather, cooler, but by no means cold. So let's put a bit more detail then for the morning. It's a bright, settled start, plenty of sunshine, nice blue skies, as you'd hope and expect for much of central, southern Italy. In fact, much of northern Italy as well, although just the chance of maybe one or two rogue showers. Out towards the east, particularly through the northern mountains of Greece, northern parts of Turkey also, a chance of one or two thundery showers. Hot and humid and sticky conditions there at the moment. And also out towards the east, around the Bordeaux region, if you're heading that way, a rash of thunderstorms pushing southwards as we go into the afternoon, potentially around Barcelona, the Balearic Islands, Minorca, Mallorca, and indeed extending potentially into parts of Sardinia and Corsica. We'll keep you updated. Temperature-wise, though, very hot and sultry conditions. Look at that, 35 degrees Celsius for Algiers, way too hot for me. That's well into the 80s Fahrenheit. Cooler conditions out towards the east under those thundery showers. So now let's take a quick look at Thursday's cities for you here. Bit of a mixture for you if you're heading down to Larnaca, maybe just catching a shower there in Cyprus 27, but hot and sultry conditions there for Tunis. Hello again. Well, we're seeing some hot and humid conditions for central southern Britain at the moment, and some thunderstorms pushing up from the south and west. But if you really like some scorching weather, well, then let me take you to Tel Aviv on the coast of Israel there. Overnight temperatures on Monday, overnight temperatures didn't get below 30 degrees Celsius. That's well into the 80s Fahrenheit. Far too hot for me. And we're seeing some very stormy conditions. If you've been watching the Weather Channel of late, we've been talking about our typhoon out in the southwestern Pacific, now being upgraded. We'll be talking about that later. And also you can see this cloudy cluster through the southern parts of the United States of America, pushing up some very hefty rain and also some pretty stormy conditions as well. Now let's take a look at the rainfall. You can see the bright echo out towards the southwestern Pacific. That's our super typhoon Nestor that we've been talking about. And indeed, let's take a closer look at the progress. We've been talking about the Mariana Islands that now are being affected, and you can see some really stormy conditions here. 150-mile-an-hour winds with through the central belt there, gusting up to as much as 175. So torrential downpours in with that little lot as well. And I think if I was a forecaster, certainly at Agrahan, one of the islands there, I'd be talking about winds in excess of 150 miles an hour, violent rain and thunderstorms, and waves potentially as much as 2 or 3 stories high. And people, indeed local people, are being advised to head to higher ground. Now, to the other side of the world, to the United States, they're not getting away scot-free either. We're just keeping our eye out on this tropical disturbance, pushing in some very heavy rain. You can see that on the rainfall chart as those bright echoes. And as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, remaining unsettled there. It's not looking particularly special for the US Gulf Open at Maryland as we head into Thursday. Potentially some pretty hot, sultry conditions as well. And look at these temperatures there for Miami, tops of 28 degrees.
day out with the family. Be prepared. Check the latest weather forecasts on the Weather Channel.
Hello again. So how are things shaping up across Scotland for Wednesday? Well, it's not the sort of day really you want to stand around in for too long. Certainly we've got onshore breezes for the east coast yet again, and the natives over that way know that means a fair amount of low cloud and some drizzle to come as well. More of the organised rainfall to be seen though down across central and western parts of Scotland to start off the day. You can see there quite a mild start to the day, except again on that eastern coast where it will feel that wee bit rawer though, with the onshore breezes getting up to around about 15, possibly even 20 miles an hour at times. If you're one for the sun, then really you've got to be heading way towards the Northern Isles or perhaps over towards Stornoway to start off the day. But I suspect that it isn't really going to last because we've got more in the way of an organised band of rain gradually working its way up across the Scottish borders through the morning, then getting on towards the central belt and the southern part of the Grampian region as the afternoon progresses. Temperatures with all the cloud around where you wouldn't expect much more than about 16 or 17, and that's around about 61 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, across the water and into Ireland after a wet night, so things are going to slowly brighten up down towards the southern parts particularly, but I'm afraid that organised band of rain still plaguing central and northern regions. Although with the breeze coming in from the southeast for the most part, particularly across the southern regions, it is going to feel relatively mild. 15 is around about 59. We're moving on through to the afternoon, so I think you'll find that it is going to be that far north of Ireland and away towards the western side as well that's likely to hang on to the lowest of the cloud, the thickest of the cloud unfortunately, and therefore the heaviest of the rain. Now back across the water and into the north of England, and here we're seeing some of the heavier bursts of rain. Again, they could contain the odd rumble of thunder, perhaps not just as widespread as we're indicating there, but a number of places will be at risk. And certainly across the higher ground of the Pennines, I would have thought some of the heaviest bursts undoubtedly will see some of the thunder. Into the afternoon, let's move on to some good news. At least things should start to brighten up away towards this southwestern corner here, around about the Liverpool area, stretching up towards Blackpool. But again, there will be some heavy showers to be had, particularly through the afternoon. The organised rainfall will gradually move away towards the north, but there will be some heavy showers, but quite sticky. Away from the east coast, 21 is around about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Into the Western Midlands and to Wales, and as you can see here again, to start off the day where it's not raining really quite heavily, so I think you'll find there's a fair amount of mist and fog to be had, so do take care if you're on the move. But at least things will begin to brighten up as we get down into these more southern regions around about the Bristol area and away towards southern Wales, and into the afternoon certainly the brighter weather coming along, but it's going to be sticky again and a fair number of showers. Down into the West Country and certainly through the course of the latter part of Tuesday, a wet old end of the day there, but again a mixture of sunshine and showers to start off Wednesday. The showers becoming more prevalent as we turn on the heat through the course of the day, and I suspect that the cloud will bubble up quite intensely at times, giving some very heavy showers there, and again quite a sticky feel to the day with the breezes coming in from the south. Across into the southeast, and again we're indicating here a fair amount of cloud. Again a foggy start to the day, so do watch out if you're commuting first thing. And you'll notice there from the temperatures suggesting they're 20 around about the capital. Really quite an uncomfortable feel to the day to start off with. And you'll be glad if you pick up one of the showers, I would have thought. Certainly it is going to make the atmosphere feel that wee bit fresher. But into the afternoon there, 24 or 25 away from the east coast. So do take care if you're on the move. Some of the showers are going to be really quite heavy.
Skies are blue, clouds are white,
but how fine it
the bright blessed day. the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. What a wonderful world.
Very good morning to you. You're waking up with the Weather Channel this morning, and I'm Vicky Graham. Now, coming up in just a short while is Louise Lear with our traffic and travel trouble spots. For the time being, let's have a look at the weather we can expect for today. Now, yesterday we saw the beginnings of a frontal system down towards the south and the west of the country. Last night it brought a heavy and persistent rain band, which is now moving up towards northern parts of England. Behind it we have got a drier spell. That's good news for Devon and Cornwall for the start of the day. The bad news, unfortunately, being it's starting off quite misty and murky, and that mist and shallow fog patches may linger for a fair old while. Now, looking at the isobar charts, we can see what's responsible for all this rain. It's a complex area of low pressure, also affecting the immediate continent. And later on, we will see some thundery, persistent rain pushing it from northwestern parts of France, coming over the Channel Islands as well. It's going to be particularly down towards the south and across into the east. Now, what this frontal system over northern England is going to do is push up towards Scotland. So Scotland, be prepared for rain this afternoon. It's going to be fairly heavy and persistent. Now, back to this morning, starting off pretty fine and dry down towards the extreme southwest, but watch out for those misty and murky conditions. May last for a fair old while. A lot of showers behind down towards central and southern parts of England as the heavy rain moves up towards the north through northern England, northern parts of Ireland. Maybe a possibility of some flash flooding, some pretty torrential rain expected during today. Now, this afternoon that rain merely pushes up towards the north, so that's where the rain is going to be this afternoon, up towards Scotland, becoming a very wet picture indeed. Down this eastern side as well, trailing a lot of heavy and sharp showers. Some of those will turn rather thundery from time to time. Again, on this eastern side, with these winds coming in from the still quite chilly North Sea, those temperatures are going to be pegged back to on or around 15 Celsius. That's 59 Fahrenheit. Down towards the central Midlands, yet again, a very humid, close, sticky day, seeing highs of around 25 Celsius across into East Anglia at 77 in terms of Fahrenheit. And again, you could burn in around 30 minutes in those longer, brighter spells. Now, going to early evening, not an awful lot of change. The heavy rain really still up towards Scotland on that frontal system, also affecting northern parts of Ireland. Down towards the south, a lot of heavy, sharp showers, thundery. You will see the odd clap of thunder just from time to time as well, and that will persist into the overnight picture as well. We will see a return to those misty, murky, shallow, foggy conditions down towards the south and the west, and anywhere down towards the south, actually the central Midlands as well, maybe a little bit misty. Watch out for higher routes across the Pennines as well. Those foggy conditions could be a little bit treacherous. Now, the thunderstorms tonight are going to be principally onto that eastern side, Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, down towards East Anglia as well. It will become a little bit drier though down towards that far eastern corner as the rain and showers move up towards the far north. Temperatures across the board tonight, a very mild night yet again. It's going to be very hot and sticky, I'm afraid. Down towards the south, only minimums of 17 Celsius. That's 63 Fahrenheit. Let's have a brief look at Thursday then, what's going to be happening. Well, not an awful lot of change from today, in fact. We've still got that frontal system up towards the far north. That's going to be producing a lot of rain right the way from the word go. Down towards the south, a lot of showers still pressing in there around the central Midlands. And we will still be seeing highs of around 22 degrees Celsius, so not an awful lot of change. So be prepared for rain anywhere you are across the whole of the country. And it will turn thundery later, especially in the south and the east. Louise, over to you.
Thanks, Vicky. It certainly sounds as though it's not going to be the best of days for being out and about on the roads, is it? With those heavy thunderstorms pushing up through the south during the afternoon. Please take care. There's going to be a lot of driving rain, a lot of surface water, and perhaps some slippy surfaces as well. We've also got a problem with mist, which will lurk around, I think, through England and Wales generally through the course of the morning. Now, there's one or two events taking place across the British Isles. In Birmingham today, we're actually seeing the start of the Gardeners' World Live. That's at the NEC, so if you're passing through that way, be prepared for delays. delays or congestion in the area. It's best, if you can, to make use of the rail networks. It's pretty good into the NEC just there. Also, the Three Counties Agricultural Show, that's in Malvern today. It's into its second day, so expect delays close to the showground. Let's take a look at one or two long-term roadworks, and then I'll be back with the tubes. We're starting off in Greater Manchester, actually. In the M62, the exit slip and inside lane closed westbound at junction 21 Milne Row, and then down towards the M40 in Oxfordshire at junction 6 to 8, seeing a contraflow lane closures there and also speed restrictions taking place. Moving up towards Edinburgh, the M9, major roadworks at the Newbridge roundabout, and Grange Road in Middlesbrough closed at the intersection with JW Horsefield Street. Now on the tubes, same problem as we had last week actually. It's in the Piccadilly line. They're not stopping at Holborn Station due to defective escalators, and this will continue, I think, really until the end of the month. No other problems to report though just yet on the ferry or air services. We'll keep you informed here at the Weather Channel. Now looking a little bit further afield, weather-wise, there's still some thundery showers to be found, particularly through western France across the Pyrenees at the moment, so you won't escape them if you're leaving the British Isles. The French and Spanish truck drivers' disputes, though, on Monday caused major roadblocks, disrupting traffic from Germany through to Portugal, and protests in Paris yesterday saw disruptions to traffic through the city, so chaos in Europe at the moment, but good sunshine through the Mediterranean. Now, very heavy rain, though, in Britain. Do be careful if you're out and about on the roads.
And if you're leaving the British Isles to go onto the continent, you'll just be travelling over to the very same weather. Very hot, humid, thundery as well. We have got a dry period across into central parts of Europe, but indeed you'll see rain by the end of the day. And looking at the satellite picture, last night we saw the beginnings of a frontal system across to western parts of France, and overnight it quickly pushed a lot of heavy and persistent rain through central France. Now it's moving quite sharply across to central parts as well. What's responsible? This huge area of low pressure. Now it's trailing a cold frontal system down towards France that really marks the boundary between the hot and humid weather and the very fresh weather, which will follow on behind during the latter part of the weekend. And taking a look at this morning's picture in a little more detail, a lot of thundery showers up towards England during today. They're actually trailing down towards northwestern parts of France as we speak. During the course of this morning, very thundery, a lot of heavy and persistent rain in all that cloud cover. And looking at these temperatures, highs of 23 already for the start of the day, it's going to be very hot, humid, close and sticky, so wear shirt sleeves if you're going onto the continent for business during today. We have got a dry period ahead of it across the central parts of Europe and into the extreme east. In fact, plenty of sunshine to start off the day across to the east, clouding over a little bit though into central parts of Europe ahead of that system, and you will see rain later, turning very heavy, thundery and persistent around central parts of Europe, trailing across the Alps and actually down into central parts of Italy as well. Now it's all changed for Italy. You've had some fantastic weather just recently. I'm afraid a lot of wet weather during today. Also trailing a lot of showers through France as that frontal system pushes across to the east. Again, turning thundery, moving up to the Channel Islands as well, through Brittany and Normandy and down towards the south coast of England and Wales. So that's not very good news there. A wet picture across the board, and not a lot of change into the evening also. A lot of showers still pressing into that western side of France as the heavy persistent rain moves through central parts of Europe, and it will eventually cloud over across into the extreme east. Now looking at these temperatures, very mild across the board, so in for a very muggy night yet again tonight onto the continent. A brief summary of those temperatures. Be prepared for wet weather everywhere. That's the way things are looking. Stay tuned. The 5-day planner coming up after the break.
Have you noticed how easily your favourite songs can make you feel good, whatever you're doing? Songs by artists like ABBA, Cliff Richard, Tom Jones, and the Hollies, Louis Armstrong, Shirley Bassey, Stevie Wonder, and Cher.
Goldfinger, he's the man.
They're all on easy. 60 original hits on 4 CDs or cassettes.
Don't cry for
That's nearly 4 hours worth, but you can't buy it in the shops. You have to order by phone. Get your copy of Easy, your 60 all-time favorite hits. Call now. Insight at Polygram. We know great music when we hear it.
On Delta's new business class, we know how to treat you like an individual. That's why we fly more individuals worldwide than any other airline. Delta Airlines, on top of the world.
We started off this week on a very humid and unsettled note. By the time we get into the weekend, it should become a little bit drier and also a little bit fresher. Now, by the time we get into next week, by Monday, we're back into those very humid and wet conditions yet again. Low pressure is lurking in the Atlantic at the moment, ready to come in for Monday. Now, for the time being, for Thursday, we've still got our old friend low pressure slap bang in the middle of the British Isles. That means the frontal system still skirting up towards Scotland. Some heavy and persistent rain there. Elsewhere, a lot of showers really pressing in, especially to the south and the west on this trough coming in from the Atlantic. So some heavier downpours of showers down towards that part of the country. Some heavy persistent rain up towards Scotland as well. Things turning a little bit fresher across into northeastern Scotland. These chilly winds coming in from still the fairly cold North Sea, pegging down those temperatures just a notch or so. Down towards the south, though, still very humid, warm, hot and sticky, basically. All that cloud cover means that it will be quite uncomfortable, reaching highs of 72 Fahrenheit. Now, not a lot of change during Friday. Still various troughs coming in from the North Sea, topping at those showers into longer spells of rain. And still a lot of rain up towards Scotland, I'm afraid. And pretty blustery as well. Those winds coming down from the north now, around 23 miles per hour. May even gust up to the gale force mark from time to time. Those northerly winds are pegging down those temperatures to around 18 Celsius, that's 64 Fahrenheit. Even down towards the south, not reaching higher than 18 Celsius. And still plenty of showers really packing in. Not a lot in the way of sunshine, the best of which is going to be down towards the south and the east. Now, by the time we get into the weekend, things should be settling down a little bit. High pressure to the north and west of Scotland should be gradually drying things up quite nicely. Still rather unsettled down towards the south, with its frontal system producing more in the way of rain. Should become a little bit lighter by Saturday afternoon. But it's going to be quite fresh down this eastern side again, with these winds coming in from the north and the east, pegging down those temperatures. So I think the best of the temperatures really are going to be around the central Midlands, seeing highs of 21 or 22 degrees Celsius. Now, as we get into Sunday, that high pressure is settling quite nicely into Scotland, so some drier weather on the cards. Still a little unsettled and breezy down towards the far south, and this low pressure will come in for Monday, making things feel very unsettled indeed. Still pretty dry up in Scotland.
morning. Well, it's not a very summery scene, I'm afraid, weather-wise for the British Isles today, with persistent rain to the north, a humid day down in the south, and the likelihood of thundery showers into the afternoon, which is not good news if you're off to the Stella Artois Tennis Championships at Queen's Club. It looks as though rain may well stop play this afternoon. Please, though, if you can and you're off to that direction, avoid that area. It gets very congested, so try to make use of the public transport. Let's take a look at one or two long-term roadworks. We're actually starting off in London as well. On the A406 Upper Edmonton, major roadworks on Angel Road. That's continuing until the end of the year. And in Somerset, the A3088 completely closed for another 3 weeks between Cartgate and Yeovil. So that heavy rain is likely to cause problems. Please be careful if you're out and about on the roads. If you want to know what's happening in a little more detail, here's Vicky with the National Weather Summary.
Thanks very much, Louise. And also worth mentioning the mist and fog patches, principally down towards the south and the west of the country. And certainly watch out for surface spray. This frontal system moving up towards northern parts of England at the moment will eventually end up in Scotland, so surface spray up there as well during the course of the afternoon. A dry period behind down towards Devon and Cornwall, but showers will quickly spread in there later. Quite thundery for the start of the day in many central and southern parts of England, but quite a mild and muggy start at that. Now, temperatures across the eastern side won't rise too much at all into the afternoon, only seeing highs of 15, 59 Fahrenheit. That's because we've got some fairly brisk winds coming in from the North Sea, making things a little bit fresher. Still a very hot and humid day expected down towards the south, central Midlands, highs of 22, that's 72 Fahrenheit. Scotland will see the heaviest and persistent rain during the course of the afternoon. Watch out for surface spray and the misty and murky conditions persisting down towards the south and the west. So do take care if you're out and about.
Something new for pond and aquatic lovers, a new kind of container. Instead of a basket which have the hessian and sisal, this is made out of spun bonded polypropylene, so very, very strong. Use an aquatic compost, put in your aquatic plant and just fill it in as normal. You can firm it up. You'll find it's flexible, therefore you can move the marginal plants on the shelves and get them to fit better. It will restrict the roots, so that can be an advantage in some of the smaller ponds. We'll go with the plants. Now what we've got to do is to introduce it into the pond. Gently does it. You can put gravel around the top if you want. And don't forget, whether you're from Waterford or Welshpool, if you've got plants in the pond, give shade for the fish and also helps retain that ecological balance.
High protection milk makes a change from semi-skimmed.
Factor 15, free with Ombre Solaire.
Buy your glasses from Dolland & Aitchison this summer and they'll give you a free pair of prescription sunglasses. Dolland & Aitchison, where everyone gets star treatment.
By giving their blood, people like these save the lives of others. Every hour of every day, donated blood is needed by someone.
I can never seem to find the time.
I would, if I knew how.
But the supply of blood must meet the demand.
Well, I need all of mine, don't I?
Hello, it's nice to see a new face.
I've never given blood before, but I just had to help.
Giving blood saves lives. Call 0345 711 711. Anytime.
This woman's car has broken down. Has she followed all the right advice? She was right not to attempt any repairs. She was right to walk along the embankment and not the hard shoulder to the emergency phone.
Tommy, wake up.
She was right to tell the emergency control that hers was a priority breakdown. But she's wrong to stay in the car. 1 in 10 fatal motorway accidents happen on the hard shoulder. If you do break down, get out of the car and stay as far back from the traffic as you possibly can.
You get to meet all kinds of different people at work.
Just come to fix the computer, love. Come to fix the phone, son. £3 special, anyone?
Coming for a drink? You all right?
I can't find my purse anywhere.
People aren't always what they seem.
It's all right, love.
Be on the lookout for walk-in thieves. Crime. Together we'll crack.
Planning a day out with the family. Be prepared. Check the latest weather forecasts on the Weather Channel.
These are the Hargreaves. They've managed an extra trip abroad this year. It's no ordinary journey. They won't be taking a dip in the hotel pool or enjoying the clear, warm Mediterranean waters. And they won't be taking in any of the local culture or the magnificent scenery. They had to take out a considerable loan to afford it. They've even sold their car.
She's regained consciousness.
All because their daughter travelled without insurance. It's now going to cost thousands to airlift her home. Take out insurance before you take off.
That's a big job. I need to get tooled up. It'll cost you.
Would you like a little demonstration?
You just make sure it's safe.
Of course. Anything else? Masks, goggles, wear strong boots. Things could get heavy.
Come on.
Make sure you keep the gloves on.
Just get a move on.
Some of these things are hot.
Got everything?
Yeah.
Oh, come on then.
Are you getting tooled up for a really heavy job?
Hold on. You'll need this.
Then get the right equipment to DIY.
Hello there. Well, if you've just seen the forecast for the British Isles, you'll be very pleased if you're going off towards the Mediterranean, because there it's very hot, dry and settled. Some good news as well through to Scandinavia. It's the Finlandia canoeing relay.